we're going to make a delicious mung bean, okra and mushroom curry. I'm fortunate that I live by an international supermarket that makes a delicious curry spice mix up, which is a blend of, I think, 14 ingredients. Now, I have asked Mr. Matas for the recipe, but he so far hasn't given me that. However, you can make your own curry mix or buy your own curry mix. You can use cumin, paprika, garam masala, chilli powder, fenugreek, any of these different spices, or just go and buy a mix, either mild, medium. This is like an Indian spice mix, and is really fragrant and beautiful. The mung beans are another legume that you don't need to soak, but they really hold their shape, so different from a red lentil, different from a green lentil, but they don't need to be soaked. These are, again, as I say, they hold the shape, but they will swell. Okra is seasonal. It's not available all the time, and I actually prefer to have it in. This is one of these recipes I can throw together because it's basically store-cupboard ingredients. This okra is frozen, so it's in the freezer. The beans are in the store cupboard. Onions last for ages. A tin of tomatoes. I have got some fresh mushrooms, tomato puree, and then again I'm going to heighten it. Going to lift the curry just at the end with some fresh spices. I've got some fresh turmeric, a chilli, some fresh garlic, and some fresh ginger, and some lemon. And all of these will just lift it. But actually, the spice mix alone would be enough. I'm going to serve this again with a combination of two of my favourite whole grains. We've got buckwheat and short grain brown rice. Mix those together, cover them with boiling water, plenty of it. Boil them up for about 20 minutes. Keep a taste test at about 25 minutes. And once they're cooked, drain and rinse them off with some more water. So, first of all, put your pan on, get your pan nice and hot, and I've got 2 onions. I'm just going to show you the difference with onions. So, again, as previously, trim the end of your onion. If you've got a favourite way of chopping an onion, please go ahead and do it. This is the way I do it, just to avoid cutting my fingers. Peel away your papery skin, and if you need to, peel away the layer beneath, if sometimes that's quite tough or it's got marks on. And then we're just going to chop one way and then chop again at 90 degrees. Fingers out the way. As soon as it gets a little bit wobbly, turn it on an angle so that so it's all stable. I've got my board on a tea towel. So there we've got a nice red onion. There's more antioxidants in a red onion than a white onion. However, sometimes the white onions give a different flavour. Those red onions are quite sweet, and certainly the scent of them is already smarting. You'll see with the white onion, so this is that thicker layer, and that sometimes you need to peel off because your knife's just not going to get through. It's just going to hinder your progress. However, you can make a veggie stock up with these waste trimmings from the vegetables. It'll give a veg stock a really deep, rich colour, perfect for like an onion soup. So again, chop in half. I've got some longitudinal cuts, and then chop to the side. When it gets wobbly, turn it over at 90 degrees and chop down again. This is at the other angle. You can just keep your fingers completely out the way and then turn it that way, 90 degrees, chop again. Gets wobbly, turn it over. If you miss some of the bits, just run through them again. So my pan's nice and hot. Some people would choose to use extra oil here. If you are underweight, if you need extra calories in your diet, and if you're struggling to maintain your weight, then by all means use a bit of oil. I'm none of those, and I'm not using extra oil. So pop those in the hot pan. Just a little bit of skin there. You're not going to caramelise those onions, but they will start to take a different flavour on as the edges char slightly. You'll get that scent from them as they're just getting that little bit of charring. And then get your spice mixes ready. So I've got this spice mix, but otherwise I was going to use cumin, paprika, turmeric and garam masala. That would work absolutely fine. Your mung beans are here, so give those a little rinse. They've started to slightly lose their opacity. They've just started to get a tinge of translucency around the edge. So pop in your spice mix. I'm using 4 teaspoons, but it does depend on what your spice mix is. I'm just going to cook that in the heat of the pan for a minute or so. That's coated the onions. The mung beans are going to go in. And then some water. So put your heat right up. About 3 or 4 cupfuls of water. And stir those round. You're going to bring that up to the boil and then let it simmer down. So that's going to take about 20 minutes to simmer that down. So our mung beans have been simmering for about 20 minutes. And they really have bubbled down and absorbed some of that fluid, but they'll still maintain their shape, unlike other lentils that will disintegrate. To this, we're going to add this bag of frozen okra. This is pre-cut. You can buy okra that's, if you've got it available, fresh, but it's not always available, and this is always handy to have in the freezer. That'll boil up, simmer up, cooks very quickly, and we're going to chop into that some mushrooms. You can either cut mushrooms into decent sized chunks. As we know, these have got vitamin D in them. They normally absorb the sunlight. Or you can just break them up is another option. So take the stem off and then just break with your fingers. These are chestnut mushrooms and these are a white organic mushroom. The chestnut ones tend to have a little bit firmer consistency. And the white ones are softer. It's all adding flavour, and these different textures and flavours just enhance the food. And then we'll add a tin of tomatoes. This is a tin of chopped tomatoes, or buy plum tomatoes and just chop them up yourself. It's less processed. And a tablespoon of tomato puree. You might need a little bit more water, but let's just see. It's actually quite nice there. And that literally just needs to heat through. So you're warming those fresh vegetables. They don't need to be boiled down. You've boiled and simmered the onion with the mung beans, and this will all enhance the flavours. As with all curries, this this can sit in the fridge and be eaten over the next 2 or 3 days. You can serve it with the rice buckwheat, or you can serve it with naan. There's loads of different options. I'm going to enhance the end of this with some fresh spices. So it tastes really good just now. Again, that's the beauty of the plant-based food. We can taste as we go. Tastes really good. Let's let that simmer up and prepare some fresh spices just to add. We've got some fresh turmeric now. So there's the ground turmeric, which is a delicious saffron orange yellow colour. And we've got some fresh. As with the ground turmeric, this really stains. So make sure you don't do this with anything that you're precious about. It'll stain your fingers and it'll stain your board and your clothes. But it is a really good taste. And they really bring the curries alive. These fresh spices So we've got turmeric, we've got some ginger, and depending on how you like the heat, whether or not you add some more chilli. So about 3 or 4 centimetres down of the ginger will be perfect. You can soften the flavour of the curry or the spice of the curry by adding some coconut milk or some silken tofu. So in terms of nutritional value, adding the silken tofu will give you a bit more protein. The coconut milk will give you a saturated fat, which we know is not for everyday use at all. So that's all simmering up. And as I say, that just takes a couple of minutes just for those mushrooms to warm through. We'll add the fresh spices, the turmeric, the ginger, chilli, and let that simmer now for another minute. I'm going to add a little bit of water into that. And then if you want to wash your hands up, clear up the board, you can get ready to prepare to serve this. In terms for serving this, it's simmering down nicely. We've got some whole grains, we've got some buckwheat and some brown rice that we've cooked for about 25 minutes. We're going to get some fresh coriander and use that to flavour at the end. Doesn't need any cooking. Use the stems as well as the leaf. If you can get coriander with the root is really powerful. I would put that in when you're cooking. I haven't been able to get any for a while, but when I have had it, yeah, it's really powerful. So we've chopped the coriander. If you serve some grains, so any grains that you fancy, this is a buckwheat and brown rice mix. And then we've got our delicious mung bean, okra and mushroom curry. And we'll top that with some fresh coriander and a squeeze of lemon juice. A curry of mung bean, okra and mushrooms, served with brown rice and buckwheat. We'll give it a try. You can use a spoon or a fork to eat. I'll just mix that lemon juice in and the coriander. It's really good. Again, lots of different flavours, different textures, and just lifted with those fresh herbs and the lemon citrus. It's really, really good. This food tastes great. It is healthy. It's healthy for everyone. And as we've said, you know, lots of cultures have a predominantly plant-based diet. In the Western world, we've moved away from this and we've stepped away from it as we've eaten more and more ultra-processed foods. But actually, this delicious, tasty meal is defining what we should be having in the future.